Okay, I started.
Okay. First of all, I request friends to please do not use the chat box for good evening messages because it is only meant for question and answers. And I'll start with my introduction speech. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to all the participants for the ninth VI Mumbai Center monthly lecture series. I also welcome Sri M.U. Mohan, President VI, his team of office bearers, past presidents, trustees, and managing committee and general council members. I also welcome Dr. Avasti, Chairman, Legal and Arbitration Committee, for being here with us. I would also like to welcome our speaker of today's lecture meeting, Dr. Vandana Bhatt. I thank them and all the participants for being present here on this live webinar on Zoom video conferencing app. Today's topic is on construction contracts vis-a-vis COVID-19, how to deal with problems. As all of us know that the world is healing under the impact of COVID-19, a global pandemic that has caused lockdown in many countries. With the outbreak showing no sign of abating, the worldwide disruption in all facets of life seems to continue. The legal system of India is no exception, including the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, which has also been adversely affected. The situation of complete lockdown in the country prevents the present physical conduct of arbitration proceedings. Non-conduction of proceedings gives rise to its own set of problems. Since the virtual conduct of proceedings is already an established norm in international commercial arbitration, domestic arbitration proceedings may be conducted virtually through video conferencing. I will not take much of your time. I hope all the participants have an informative session. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. Thank you. Now I hand over the mic to President.
Good evening, friends. Sri Moginder Rijwani, Chairman Mumbai Center, and senior functionaries of Mumbai Center, and my dear Devkarji, past president, my dear Pradeep Nagavkarji, honorary secretary BI, wish you happy birthday today, and Nirav Parmarji and other senior BA members, to all of you, my good evening to you. It is indeed a pleasure to be part of the monthly lecture meeting organized by Mumbai Center. I was informed by the center chairman that it is the 9th lecture, and I am very happy that the center is in the forefront to disseminate enlightening information to its member on various intricacies of contracting business. I sincerely congratulate the center for its initiative and also wish all BA centers should follow this practice. I also express my hearty congratulations and good wishes to the chairman and office bearers of Mumbai Center. Friends, the lecture topic selected by Mumbai Center, construction contracts versus COVID-19, how to deal with the problems, is really apt. I am sure you all will agree with me that the spread of COVID-19, also known as coronavirus, which was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization on 11th March 2020, has had a significant, in some cases, disastrous impact on virtually all areas of business globally. The construction industry, no exception. With the number of countries declaring a state of emergency to fight the pandemic, closing their borders, and imposing travel restrictions, on-site construction activities have naturally been affected. Some shortage of materials due to interruption of project supply chains, shortage of workforce and labor, prohibition on gathering of groups of people, in some cases of more than two people, to in certain countries, the complete suspension of all construction activities. It is a fact that the restrictions imposed have had a significant impact on all parties involving the construction projects, not to mention severe financial consequences. The remedies available at law to the parties to a construction contract to protect their rights and mitigate their losses in their highly unusual circumstances depends on the terms of their respective contracts, but also on the governing law in question. Time extensions and the claims for time and more are inevitable. What is important from a contractor standpoint is to carefully analyze and the contractor remedies at hand and to take timely steps to mitigate losses and protect legitimate interests. Timely issuance of procedural notice is the first and most important step for contractor to ensure an entitlement of additional time or to claim losses and expenses are. In the worst case scenario, to legally suspend the works and or terminate the construction contracts. Friends, I am certain that Dr. Vandana Bhatt will explain the above aspect in details and will cover it extensively in her address. I was also informed that Ms. Vandana Bhatt is an accomplished speaker and an eminent arbitrator, well known in the construction industry, and she will certainly explain the complex subject of construction contracts vis-a-vis COVID-19, how to deal with the problems. I request members to carefully listen to her address and get their questions answered, if any, at the end of the lecture. Once again, I thank to Sri Moginder Rijwani, Chairman Mumbai Center, for his kind invitation and wish him all his term of office bearers all success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Sunil Matria, Joint Secretary, to introduce Dr. Vandana Bhatt.
Good evening, friends. I would like to introduce Dr. Vandana Bhatt, who has had a brilliant academic standing first class first in ME Construction Management from Mumbai University. She has unique qualification of Master of Business Administration in Construction Law and specialized course on contract from the Harvard University, USA. She is formerly a Class 1 engineer of Government of India. Dr. Vandana Bhatt is a project administration consultant in field of construction for ongoing claims, adjudications and arbitrations. She was awarded the Parliamentary Award, Dadabhai Naoroji International Award by Dadabhai Naoroji Centenary Committee on 1st June 1998 at Mumbai. Besides being a fellow of Institution of Engineers of India, she is a member American Bar Association. Dr. Vandana Bhatt was the first woman Secretary of Institution of Engineers, India, Maharashtra State Center. She is a member of the American Bar Association and she is registered at National Register of Professional Engineer. She was invited for lecture to women's engineers, members of American Society of Civil Engineers at Washington. She represented Indian fraternity of engineers hosted by American Concrete Institute International Seminar on Concrete Structures at Washington, D.C., USA. She has mentioned for her leadership qualities in 2002 Honorary International Who's Who of Professional and Business Women Award. She worked as an honorary consultant for rehab of earthquake affected Amran village in Gujarat and many other works. Dr. Vandana Bhatt has contributed number of papers on construction management related to claims and has conducted many workshops concerning construction management. She has co-authored book titled Laws for Engineers. Her services in this field are retained by many leading construction firms and government organizations. She teaches construction law at postgraduate level, including IIT Mumbai. She has been presiding arbitrator and co-arbitrator along with the former judges of Supreme Court, High Court, and eminent engineers. Dr. Bhatt has been member of team felicitated for award of distinction for culture, heritage, conservation work by UNESCO 2007. Sorry. She has been awarded with Best Women Professional of the Year 2008-2009 by FICCI. She has been invited to chair international conference at Hong Kong, New Delhi, Mumbai, and many other places. She presented paper on health monitoring of structures at Tokyo by Euroscion. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Bhatt.
Now I hand over the session to Dr. Vandana Bhatt.
Madam, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I unmuted. Let me first share my thing. Yeah, good evening to everyone. At the outset, let me first thanks Builder Association Bombay Center and Mr. Rizwani to provide me this opportunity to share my thoughts and idea about COVID-19 vis-a-vis our construction contract and construction industry. It is a very unique problem. We are going to face it from time to time when we are going to handle this contract document. We have to understand one thing, that construction contract is a unique contract. Apart from other contract which is different for the particular supply contract or a service contract, construction contract requires a different treatment vis-a-vis management of construction contract, vis-a-vis the law related to it. And the questions to us, to construction industry, is that is COVID-19 problem a payable obligation? All contractors are required to carry out certain obligations. And whether those obligations are payable to us or not is a question arising to everyone's mind. So I'm going to deal with all those things, and we'll find out whether how we can deal with this so that we can have a win-win situation. What I mean by win-win situation, that contractors should not suffer financially. At the same time, they are not allowed to take over advantage or disadvantage of this situation, and the owner should not suffer. And that is what we call it as a win-win situation. We know that just 1 minute, my slide is not okay. We know that it is in construction contract, it is not rare, but it is impossible to achieve a project to be completed in a time and money estimated. But these are the problems, we are aware of it. Day in, day out, we are having so many problems. Either the site is not available, land acquisition is not there, or extra items are coming, or the foundation is changing. But by and large, we are now used to this situation. And we are day in, day out handling this situation also. The problem here is that though it is an unforeseen, uncontemplated situation, but the impact of COVID-19 is something, a different situation as compared to our regular problems. And hence, today, the subject of today's evening is given is that what should be the COVID-19 situation and its impact on our construction contract. Now, to handle this construction contract, usually people think that construction management is the tool to handle the situation. Construction management is not the tool to handle the COVID-19 situation, because the management will not help us out by managing our resources, by managing our laborers, or managing other area of construction will not help us with the COVID-19 situation, which is a financial impact. It is a contract administration. We have to search into the contract document which we are entering, that how to minimize this strain which is arising due to COVID-19 situation. And hence we have to understand our contract. We have to understand how to handle this contractual problems. Now, COVID-19 problem is not because of fast falling value or change in technology, or maybe change order, or maybe mutual confidence between employer and contractor. It is not the situation. COVID-19 has a unique situation, unique problem. The problem is that site is not approachable. I'm not allowed to go on the site. Compulsion of wages to labor and extra measure of welfare. Whenever there is a situation of unforeseen, I'm not required to pay wages to laborer, but here in COVID-19, I'm compelled by the government to pay the wages. I have to perform when it is an unlocked start under a restricted condition with keeping the social distancing. It is difficult to have a crisis of site management. So that also is one of the reasons that we have to take care while we are handling the COVID-19 problem. What the owner are doing, the problem is with that the owners are looking for that they have a prejudice and a set mind. Their set mind is that, okay, let us look into the contract, what is COVID-19 problem? And they look only in the four corners of the contract. When they look into the four corners of the contract, employer or the contractor, we have never heard of COVID-19. COVID-19 is a very unique situation. We have a situation of war, we have a situation of earthquake, we have a situation of heavy rainfall, we might have a situation of riots, commotion, and so many other parameters. But this situation of COVID-19 is a very unique thing, and therefore neither the problem is envisaged nor the solution is available into the contract document. And when there is no solution available into the contract document, what we require is to deal it with an extra contractual requirement. We have to go outside the contract. When we go outside the contract, the question arises, how can we go outside the contract? Then the law comes to our help. Law says that, okay, we will help you when you have such problem, which is not contemplated within the contract, but has arisen. Then law will come to our help to understand that how to resolve this problem. And for that, we have to understand our contract vis-a-vis the law envisaged for this problem. The problem we are going to discuss is how to tackle this extraordinary and extra contractual situation. Where we look into, first we will look into the contract document itself, and contract document will say that, okay, we have this situation which we call it as a force majeure. All of us in the starting, including myself, we have started calling this COVID-19 as a force majeure situation. Is it really a force majeure situation? If we look at very clearly or without understanding what is force majeure, on prima facie situation, yes, it is a force majeure. It is beyond the control of the party. So I went in to look into the contract document to see what is force majeure. Let me see what is force majeure. So I went into the finding out, let me find out whether force majeure can help me in coming out with the COVID problem. And then when I went into the contract, the first thing came into my mind that what is contract? The fundamental of contract is that both the parties or parties to the contract should be ad idem. They must understand same thing in a same manner. They must agree to the provision of terms, conditions, and everything which is mentioned into the contract document. And if I understand particular term or particular clause in a different manner than the other party to the contract, the clause or the contract is not binding on me. These are the concept of a basic concept of contract law. Now, when I say that this is a basic concept of contract law, I have to read with this concept the force majeure clause. Then we have to analyze the force majeure clause, whether what I read as a force majeure clause is the owner reading as a force majeure clause. If both of us are not at the ad idem, both are not interpreting the same way, then the clause is not enforceable on me. I cannot say that no, it is a force majeure clause. So we examine whether presently situation is consensus ad idem is achieved in the provision of clause related to force majeure. Then what is the provision in the force majeure clause? That we have to look into the provision of force majeure clause. And what is the provision in the force majeure clause? It says it is an exceptional event or circumstances. It says it is beyond parties' control. Yes, COVID is beyond parties' control. Party could not reasonably have provided against before entering into the contract. Yes, it is there. Which having arisen, such party could not reasonably have avoided or overcome. Yes, that situation also is there, which is not substantially attributable to the other party. Yes, neither of the party has generated COVID-19. If I pause on this slide and I say that, okay, all these parameters are there. It is there in the COVID-19 also, and it is there in the clause also. Then why I'm saying that force majeure clause cannot be applied to COVID-19? Then I went into the detail of force majeure clause that, okay, these parameters are matching. What about other things? The other remedy provided in force majeure clause. Then I went into further looking at that. Is any similar pandemic mentioned in the force majeure clause? If we go into the force majeure clause, you will see that force majeure clause is by and large defined. It is defined with epidemic but not pandemic. It is defined as a war. It is defined as a heavy rainfall. It is defined as an earthquake. And by and large, I have studied almost about 17 to 18 different contract documents. I have gathered the force majeure clause from there. And I have seen that everywhere force majeure clause is defined and it says etc. Now, we as a contractor sometimes consider etc. as a wide range. But I as a legal trainer, or I'm trained under the law for contract documents, I say no, etc. is not a wider range. Etc. need to be interpreted with the law and law of interpretation. And the law of interpretation is ad judice generis rule. That ad judice generis rule tell me that whenever there is a etc. mentioned into the contract document, it has to be interpreted with the same generic family. When I say same generic family, COVID is not an earthquake, COVID is not a war, COVID is not an epidemic, it is a pandemic. COVID is not a heavy rainfall, COVID is not a riot. If it is not there, then how can we include COVID-19 under force majeure? Second example or second test we can do it is on that okay, etc. is not falling under for the COVID. The second test is that almost all force majeure situations have a short life. COVID-19, we don't know, it is unending and unpredictable life. So how can that it go under the force majeure clause? You don't know when it will end. You don't know what will be the end of this. You don't know how long this social distancing problem will continue. We don't know anything. And when we don't know anything, it cannot be clubbed into the force majeure situation. When it cannot be clubbed into the force majeure situation, what we require is that we have to look the third parameter of force majeure. First parameter, we have seen that it is out of control of the party. Yes, I agreed it is out of control of the party. But second test failed. Second test says that etc. is not belonging to COVID-19. Then I wanted to do third test. As for vaccine, we are doing the multiple of tests before we say we found the vaccine. So before I say that COVID is not a part of force majeure, I must satisfy myself first. I have to satisfy myself that yes, when I say it is not force majeure, I must convince. Convince to whom? Because at the end, it will be a judiciary who is going to decide whether the force majeure is COVID-19 or not. And I have to convince them. So one more test I took it for force majeure. That force majeure has a remedy inbuilt. If you read the force majeure clause, it has a remedy inbuilt. It says that if force majeure situation continues more than 90 days, contractor has right to foreclose the contract. That is a one. Second is that if you continue, then you will be given only extension of time and no other monetary benefit or monetary relief will be given. These are the two parameters or two things which are given in force majeure clause. Take all the steps, then what else we are required under force majeure? Force majeure also says, clause, that whenever there is a force majeure situation, contractor will take all the steps to protect the project. See here the word. We have to analyze each and every word. They have not said in force majeure that I have to protect my laborers. They have not said I have to protect anything else or I have to provide any extra contractual facility. It says I will take all the steps to protect my project and also to continue the performance in terms of the contract wherever possible, to the extent possible. Suppose there is a riot somewhere in the Andheri and my project is somewhere in the Borivali. Okay, with extra precaution, my project will continue. I might have a problem of traveling because some of my engineers are staying beyond the Andheri, cannot reach. I have to manage with that. But here the situation is totally different. Here the situation is that no, we are not in position to continue with the project. We are, in fact, now I am coming to the last test of force majeure versus COVID-19. In force majeure, government, organization or employer or the owner are not giving us any order. It is a automatic clause. The moment there is a war, where the moment there is a heavy rain, the moment there is a riot, anything is there, contractor on his own protecting his work, protecting his laborer, he is taking care of the project. But here in COVID-19, look at the situation. What is in the COVID-19? Government, we as a contractor are ordered, not only ordered, we were compelled to pay wages and take extra care of our resources. This is the biggest difference between the force majeure and COVID-19. In force majeure, I am never ordered by the employer that go and pay the wages to your laborer. Here I am getting the order in writing by Government of India, by Government of state, by even to an extent, certain parameters are being ordered by the Supreme Court. When I am given this order, who can give me order? In the contract, if in the contract you are given me an order, whatever the financial implication of that order must be paid back to me. And hence, in force majeure, we are not compelled to pay anything. Force majeure events are foreseeable to a certain extent, and we have a right to foreclose the contract. Here, if I try to foreclose the contract, thinking that, okay, I consider it as a force majeure clause, and I want to foreclose the contract. What is the requirement for foreclosure of contract? Very simple. I have to call the party to come on the site and take a joint inventory, take a joint measurement. The situation, my question is that, am I allowed to visit the site under the lockdown period? I can't. Can I take my laborer to site to take out my resources? No. Can I do the joint measurement or joint recording of the work done? No. And if this situation is there, how can it be called as a force majeure? In fact, the site has become unapproachable. So what is this situation? This situation is analogous to change order. What is change order in construction contract? That I am given certain work under the contract, and in that contract, sometimes the owners have a right to ask me to do certain extra item, or they have a right even to change the item. Say in the building construction, if I have to construct the wooden doors and windows, And down the line, owner says, no, instead of wooden, make it a aluminum windows. That is a change order. The difference in price is paid by owner to me because they have a right to change. So this COVID-19 situation is analogous to change order, where contractor has no choice to foreclose the contract. Now, keeping that in mind, let us assume, can I say that I will not pay laborer any payment? No. Why? Because otherwise it is a disobeying of government order. To an extent it is disobeying the order of Supreme Court. Then it becomes a contempt for me. So I am compelled, I have no choice but to take care of the welfare and payment of the wages of my laborer. When I have this situation, then what is that? Employer has made contractor to go through this change order. Therefore, the amounts required to spend in complying with the employer's order has to be reimbursed. If you order me that do this, you order me that do this extra item, you order me that do this extra work, you order me that instead of M20 concrete, make M25 concrete. Is this change order not payable? If that is payable, and if I call COVID-19 as a change order, I'm not calling a force majeure. And why I'm not calling a force majeure? I explain you that it is not matching with the parameter and requirement of force majeure. Force majeure has certain things written into the contract. But the COVID-19 situation, pandemic, is a unique situation. None of us has ever envisaged, none of us has ever thought of this, that what is all this thing. So when employer is giving me order to carry out the work outside the contract, nowhere in the contract it is written that even if the work is not done, I am bound to pay money to the laborer. And here, by order of the government has taken out the circular that you will have to pay the money to your laborer. So for that purpose, the COVID-19 not from a concept that fits even listed in the force majeure clause. All the parameter we have checked. We have done all the litmus paper test with the force majeure clause, except one. No test is passing for the force majeure. And when majority of the parameters of force majeure clause are not matching with the situation of COVID-19, it cannot be called as a force majeure. The second thing is that employer has ordered me to do something within the contract, but outside the contract provision. Then it is an extra, or it is an extra provision under the contract and a change order. And if there is a change order, employer is bound to reimburse me. This is the situation. It is more akin and analogous, as I said, to change order, and hence employer is obliged to reimburse me the cost of meeting the situation which has arisen because of COVID-19. What are the type of expenses which usually I can envisage? And it is an idle period. It is an extraordinary work discipline due to the social distancing. The work which I am supposed to do with 10 laborers, now I am required to do with the 4 or 5 laborers. My productivity is suffering. I am not able to deploy the full strength of my supervisory staff. So whenever I require to take the measurement, usually which was taking 1 or 2 days is taking more than 2 days time to take the measurement. Usually for checking, the engineer were supposed to come on the site, also is taking a bigger time. All this time consumption is my right to demand from the employer. And that is under, again, extraordinary work or work done outside the thing. Then the things come to my mind that, okay, I have said that it is not force majeure. Fine. I said it is an analogous or akin to change order. I proved it. Then why am I talking about the force majeure? What am I supposed to do? You are supposed to do is a record keeping. Your record during the progress of this COVID-19 should be maintained in such a manner. Because one thing we have to remember, that when this thing will go for adjudication or litigation, only the evidence will speak and not your feeling. If I talk on and talk on and talk on and my evidence talks something else, then I'm not going to get it anything. So what to protect, how to protect myself? I have to start doing the correspondence in such a manner that my documents, my record keeping, tomorrow when we'll go to the court of law, will talk about me, that where you are said. So whenever you write a letter, you say as directed by you. So you are putting the words in the mouth of the employer. That as directed by you, we are going to have a laboratory or a test, medical test kit on the site. As directed by you, we have paid wages to the laborer. As directed by you, we have done this and this and this. When you say that, why I am saying this with confidence, 2 or 3 of my clients, I have started doing this. In the starting, owner were telling that, no, it is a force majeure, force majeure. And I went on writing this, that as directed by you, we have done this, as directed by you. Today, the situation is that employers are not in position to reply to me. When they are not replying to me, the law says keeping mum is acceptance. And that is my winning kit. That I'm winning on my for my client, that okay, now when I will go for adjudication, my letter will speak, sir. See, I told him that as directed by I did it. They never denied it. Sir, I told him that, look, these are my expenses. Time to time I was sending him the list of laborer. Time to time I was sending him the money I have spent. There is a keep mum, and then when you keep mum, then it becomes to a certain extent, to a great extent, a acceptance by the party. Now, here one more thing I'm telling you, why I'm saying this, why law should be on our side. We have to tell the law. We have to tell the judiciary. We are weak. We are afraid of telling the judiciary. Look at the situation where in the judiciary it is ever happened, whether the university can take exam or not. It is a university's right when to take exam, how to take exam, what to take exam, in which manner they have to take exam. But that situation also has reached to the court. Why? Think over it. Why it has reached to the court? Because they also consider this as an extraordinary situation. Otherwise, there also they could have said it is a force majeure situation. University are free to decide their own thing. Parents have gone to the court that no, we will not pay the fee for school, as demanded by the school authority. Court would say that is your problem between you and parents. Why court is entertaining? Because court also understands that COVID-19 is a different situation. It's different. It's different than the normal parameter of what we envisage from day-to-day life. It is not a force majeure. It is not a regular epidemic. Epidemic always is in a small area, not even if in the entire country, it is not entire world. Even if I have to import or export certain machinery, I cannot do that. It has impacted so highly, and hence, even if I tell you Delhi High Court has given obliquely, they have not given the decision. Don't take this as a decision, but obliquely in one of the case of contractor has obliquely said that COVID-19 is not a force majeure. They have not decided, but they have given a hint that COVID-19 requires to be treated separately away from the force majeure. Now that itself is a hint for us that judiciary also is thinking in a different manner. Now where the soup pinches or where the problem is with ourselves. We are not taking advantage of this knowledge that, okay, court has said, so let us try differently. What to do with this? How to take care of all these things? That is what we are not taking advantage. We have, none of us have written a letter to employer that's, look, COVID-19 required to be handled separately. Don't call it as a force majeure. Force majeure is not matching with the COVID-19 situation. Call it an extraordinary situation, call it as a change order, and give us a different alternative for this COVID-19 relief. Now, the another question we have to understand is that government has passed a circular declaring COVID-19 as a force majeure. Fine, we have not objected it. What happens for non-objection also I will come to that, but we have not objected. One step ahead, government has gone and suo moto have given extension of time of 6 months. Now look at it, look at the law. Indian Contract Act section 62 says that party to a contract unilaterally cannot add, amend, alter the contract. And changing of time is alteration or additions or amendment of contract. How unilaterally one can change the contract? We have made another mistake by our construction fraternity. We have accepted that 6 months happily, that okay, now I got EOT without LD. My dear friend, accepting LD without objections or extension of time, without any rider or objection, will take away all your rights to demand for your claim. You have to say, in two of my client, I have said that, okay, fine, you have given me extension of time on your own. Thank you very much. But what about that you have pushed me into a different era? The work which I was supposed to do in March, April, May, you have put me in June, July, August, where it is a heavy rainy season. I cannot achieve the same productivity as I could have achieved there. I am not allowed to use my full 100% strength of resources. What about that? And what about the expenses I am suffering? I have written that, and then what happened, you know? You have to be very careful. In one of the employer has given me extension of time with reference to my this letter, that with reference to your letter number so and so, we are extending the time as I demanded. I told my client that now we don't want to do anything. Why? Because my letter was demanding for the relief under this COVID-19 situation. My letter was talking about escalation. My letter was talking about the extra effort I'm required to do it. And when they gave me extension with reference to my letter, they have, without knowing the legal implication, accepted all my terms and conditions. And that is what the record copying is very important. When you write a letter, your letter is to be written in such a manner that when I will go for litigation or adjudication or arbitration, my letter will speak. A contemporaneous record will speak that what I have said at that point of time is more important than what I am telling now. So that contemporaneous record keeping is very, very important parameter. Quote the reference whenever you are writing a letter. Sorry. You write down and emphasize on the word. We have carried out the work as ordered and directed by you. And when you put these words in their mouth, the corollary will come on its own under the law. When I say that, sir, look at it, I told them that I am doing this under your instruction. Now they must pay me. They have not never denied that I have not carried out this work under their instruction. That is the weakness. When we are weak as a contractor, we are weak in our construction law. We don't know our contract. We don't know how to interpret the contract. We don't know what our construction contract is or contract law is. The same thing is with the opposite side also. And that is why my client got extension of time with reference to my letter, without knowing that by referring that letter, he has accepted all my terms and conditions. So we also have to start learning this. Record of extra precaution is required during the unlocking period. if your correspondence, you have indicated and you have accepted that COVID is a force majeure clause, take my word, you are in a big problem. Because force majeure will be interpreted from the contract. And what is in the contract for force majeure? Only the time. No relief in terms of the money. And what we contractor want, because we have really suffered. We have really suffered. We want some relief in terms of money. And that money can be given only and only if I convert COVID-19 into change order. If I convert COVID-19 as an extra contractual implication. If I change COVID-19 as ordered by the government, then and then only I will be succeeded in getting my financial losses. But if I accept in my letter that this situation is a force majeure and please treat this as a force majeure, take my word, government will be happy and celebrating that this contractor, they don't have to pay anything except the time. Okay, time, let him ask, he's asking 2 years, take 2 years time. At least I don't have to pay a single penny to him. So don't make that mistake. But the question comes that I have already made the mistake, what to do? Now I am in a big problem. You are still having a time. You are not in a big problem. You are in a problem, but you are not in a big problem. Take a U-turn. Start taking a U-turn today only. Start calling COVID-19 as an extraordinary situation. Start calling COVID-19 as an order situation by the employer. Can it be done? It can be done. Why not? Do it, but systematically. When you take a sharp U-turn, you are bound to come across a fatal accident. So when you are trying to shift from force majeure to COVID-19 change order situation, do a transition situation. Take a transition curve. Don't take a sharp U-turn. If you take a sharp U-turn, law will say that this is a change of mind suddenly. It is an afterthought. The law talk about afterthought situation. So don't allow that to happen to you. You have all the while called the COVID-19 as a force majeure. Start calling it as a change order and extra contractual provision from tomorrow onward in a systematic manner, in a transition manner, that by the time you reach at the end of the contract, you have achieved that, okay, COVID-19 is not force majeure. That is the situation you have to take care. You have to start building up your claim. You have to start writing to the employer that, sir, because of your order, I have a time overrun loss. I have a loss of productivity. I have a cost of extra effort. My plant and machinery remain idle. I have a loss of productivity because I have to observe the social distancing. My work which was to be carried out 3 months back, I am required to carry out now. The prices in the market is fluctuating. I required escalation. My investment which was come back to me within certain period has not come back to me. It is going to be delayed. Pay me the interest on that. This type of hint you have to go on giving to the employer from today onwards. Because I am sure out of 10, 9 must not have taken care of this situation. I know my fraternity very well because I was once upon a time from the same block, and we used to handle the contract the manner you are handling. We were also not knowing what is happening until we came across a fatal accident. Our company was annihilated. We were almost on the road and we had to fight for our right, and then we learned this line. Then we did this learning of that, okay, only construction management will not help me. I have to understand my contract. I have to understand my contract with respect to law, because at the end, it is not the engineer who will decide my fate. It is the black coat which will decide my fate. And I have to convince the black coat. And how to convince the black coat? That I must know at least the first aid of my contract law. And if I know first aid of my contract law, if I generate the record, if I do the record keeping, I collect the evidence contemporaneously, at the end, that black court will be on my side. But if I don't have anything, then I lose the case. So that is what, that care and caution is required to be taken care, that what we require, go on telling them what is required, what is not required. If you don't do that, alternatively, force majeure will give you only the extension of time and no relief. Keep this in mind. You will be successful in getting your claim or damages through an interpretation of contract. An adjudicator or the judge will interpret your contract. They will not interpret your sentiments. Today also, court when deciding the relief for the lawyer, a relief for the laborers, migrant laborers, suo motu they are taking the cognizance. They are talking on the whether the fee should be paid by the parent. They are taking whether the exam should be taken or not. When all these things were going to the court, never. We have came across so many force majeure situations. We have an earthquake, we have a heavy rainfall, we have a riots, but never ever we have seen that for this situation, any of the party has gone to the court and asked for the relief. So force majeure has not gone to the court. It is a COVID-19 which has gone to the court. Take a clue from that, that if that is the situation, my COVID-19 situation is not a force majeure. But if you feel shy of not calling it as a force majeure, take my word, you will get extension of time and no relief at all. Why? Because in absence of care and caution, there are 4 legal doctrines you should keep it in mind, not only for COVID-19. I will say for every time you handle the contract document, these 4 legal doctrine must hint your head. Every time it should stay in your brain that whatever I am doing, whether this 4 doctrine I am taking care or not. What is those 4 doctrine? Let us read. I will read very slowly. I hope my slides are seen by all of you. When you elect to canvass the theory of force majeure, suppose I say it is a force majeure, you have already waived your right for talking about change order. So don't call it as a force majeure. If you start calling force majeure, even now, the point will come, the law will say you were having a chance. You have not called it change order. Now it is an afterthought. You have waived your right. You will not be allowed to call it as a change order. And therefore, what law will say? You are stopped from claiming any other alternative relief other than extension of time under force majeure. Read, let us read again and again and then put it in your mind very strongly that what this COVID-19 situation will require to do when you elect to canvass theory of force majeure. You have already waived your right for taking about change order, and therefore you are stopped under the law for claiming any alternative relief other than the one arising from force majeure, which is a EOT extension of time. Because force majeure, if I call it, it will be dealt with in the provision in the contract. You are not coming out of the contract, you are staying in the contract. While I am saying for COVID-19, you have to come out of the contract and talk about the law. Tell the legal fraternity, tell the industry, tell the employer that, sir, what I am asking relief is not under the contract. I am asking relief under the law. Under the law, it is my right. How the students are going to the court and saying that stop this exam, under which law, under which understanding between the student and university. Student and university also is a contract. It is written into the university manual that this is the way the exams will be conducted. It is written into the manual of university that if required, the schedule may change. Still students are going to the court under which rule? Under the law. And we also require to go under the law, not under the contract. You can go under the law if you can satisfy these 4 legal doctrine of construction law. You can say I have not waived my right. I started in the starting, I called it as a force majeure because it seems to be a force majeure. Any prudent contractor will start calling COVID-19 situation in the month of March and April a force majeure. But the moment it started going and going on, it came to know that this is an unending situation. We don't see the end for this COVID-19. We don't know when it will be stopped. We don't know how it will be done. I'm allowed in unlock period to carry out the work. What happened? I'm allowed to do the work not in the same contract conditions. My bid parameter has changed. My four corners of contract is given a go by, and I was ordered to carry out the work by observing the social distancing. My labor force is reduced. In one of my client's side, collector came and fined him. What for? He says, you have not kept a nurse on the site to take care of the health of the laborer. Where in the contract it is written that I have to keep a nurse on the site. But he says that under COVID-19 situation, it is government order that the contractor will take care of the health of the laborer, and you are required to measure their fever and their other parameters from time to time. And for that, you must have a medical team available on the site. It was not there, he was fined. Who will pay this fine? Naturally, government has to pay, because it was not my responsibility to provide all facility. I am providing because you have ordered me. If you have ordered me, you pay for that extra. But what happens? I have to tell them at that point of time that, sir, I'm going to provide it. I'm electing to provide it, but I'm calling it as a change order. I'm calling it as an extra contractual provision. I'm calling it as an extra financial implication. If I say that, I have not waived my right. If I have not waived my right, law will not stop me to ask for relief under alternative. But if I waive my right, I'm stopped. I have no other alternative but to have an extension of time. That is the situation you have to take care and understand very, very clearly and specifically. Beware, beware. Why I'm saying beware? Because I have seen contractors sometimes comes, one of my client has come, madam ये लेटर लिखेंगे तो फिर मेरा जो बिल है वो अटक जाएगा. भाई टेम्पटेशन आपका बिल का है बराबर है, but for that small amount of bill, what loss you are going to suffer, think of it. Think of that on temptation to accept concept of force majeure for getting extension of time without LD will give you a major jolt, major financial problem. Instead of that, hammer to the employer, force them that, sir, this is not force majeure. This was never contemplated. This was not never understood or unforeseen. And certainly it is a change order under the written order by the government. When government is giving me order in writing, tell the government, you have given me order under writing. Where in the contract it is written that they have to give me extension of time without my asking, but they gave it. Under which contract? Not under contract. Their suo motu they have done. So why can't I as a contractor or we as a contractor can talk about this unforeseen and call it as a change order? If I call it as a change order, I'm likely, and I'm sure, I'm confident at least, I myself is confident that I will get success, not with employer, because I know Indian employer will never agree. They will say your claim is rejected. So alternative is adjudication. Adjudication, either dispute review board, or you have arbitration, or you go to the court of law. But anyway, when you go before those black court, this your contemporaneous record will help you to achieve what you wanted to achieve. One more thing I'll tell you. Look at why we are strong. If you look at the behavior of the employer, that is a government, Particularly in NHAI, I have observed this. They have given suo moto 6-month extension. Then what else they have done? They said that let us have a dispute review board. They have passed the circular that every contractor must undergo dispute review board. Why they wanted this? Because they did not wanted to have a long lasting and costly litigation. They're accepting that there is a need for resolving the dispute itself is their defeat. Are we taking advantage of this defeat? No. We are considering it as a good thing and we are accepting without demur. Now, without demur, when you accept it, you are bound to fail. So say that, sir, we welcome your dispute review mechanism, but please see that our COVID-19 claims are also included in that. And once you achieve that, and that dispute review board is there, then the law will look it differently. Law will say, when you were believing that there is no claim, why you are from the dispute review board? Your very requirement or very thought that to form a dispute review board itself shows that there is a differences. And if there is a differences, then and then only you can go to adjudicator. Then and then only the law will look at it. Once there is no differences, everything is under the contract, law will not come in picture. Law will say, do as what the contract says. But if there is something outside the contract but under the law, understand this, I am repeating and re-repeating, outside the contract, under the law, if you handle your correspondence, you take caution, you call it COVID-19 as a change order, take my word, you will succeed in selling out your contract without a damage. I don't say you will earn. Let us not earn from this situation. This is not the situation for earning, but this is not the situation for losing. We may not earn. I agree government should not suffer, but at the same time, contractor also should not suffer. Contractor must get all those money he has spent on the project. He may not earn his profit. You will ask your loss of profit. You will ask so many other claims. Even to an extent, you will say my opportunity loss are there. Those may not be payable to you under the law. But certainly what you have spent, what you can show on paper, what you can show on your books of account, that this is what I have spent. From time to time, I went on informing them, the employer, that these are my claims. From time to time, I told them, sir, don't call it force majeure. It is change order. Sir, it is under your order. Sir, it is as directed by you. Sir, you told me to do so. Sir, you gave me EOT on your own without my consent. I don't agree. If you want to give me EOT, these are my conditions. Then and then only you will be able to succeed in achieving no harm or no damage to your contract. I'm not saying in achieving the financial benefit, because I also don't want that COVID-19 situation should be taken as an opportunity to earn. Earning can be done by us later on. But at the same time, I want that you should not suffer financially. What you have spent, you must get it back. What you have spent must get it back. That is the requirement for COVID-19 situation. What I say is that I want to read this sentence to all of you for the simple reason I have come across through many of my clients. When I write a letter, a strong letter, what happened? Contractors comes to me, मैडम वो जरा फिर अपना रिलेशंस बिगड़ जाएगा, मैडम वो हमारा दूसरा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आता है उसके ऊपर हमारा इफेक्ट होगा, मैडम वो थोड़ा माइल्ड कर दीजिए ना लेटर. Let me read this, what you need. All this gives rise to greater possibility for disputes and claims. So it is prudent to recognize the situation and deal with it in a realistic, positive and sensible manner. This is much better than trying to brush things under the carpet until the end of the project. What is that? For fear of upsetting the friendly contractor relationship. And I think our construction fraternity understand my word, upsetting the friendly contractual relationship. We know what it means. Don't stretch it to a great extent that madam वो नाराज हो जाएंगे चीफ इंजीनियर साहब. चीफ इंजीनियर साहब तो अपना पेंशन लेकर रिटायर्ड होकर बैठ जाएंगे, कंपनी आपकी खराब हो जाएगी. Rizwan's father has suffered this thing. He is the better person to know that what happens when he is not taking these steps for fear of upsetting the friendly contractual relation. The company is punished. So don't do that. I'm not saying that fight openly. Write down the letters tactfully so that it can be interpreted when you go to the court of law. That's a look I told him. And most important thing I want all of you to understand is that as much as we are unaware, not aware of the contract law, we are ignorant of contract law, the employer is double ignorant than us. Take advantage of that. That if I don't know, they also don't know, but I have external sources to make my knowledge more powerful as compared to them. Why not to take advantage of this? Why not to take advantage of this and writing the correspondence in such a tactful manner? I have written in one of my clients' letters that, sir, thank you very much for your cooperation. When you start with this type of wording, no, they have a mental phobia, because I was executive engineer in Government of India. So I know what our type of people do there when sitting into the government chair. When we read one or two paragraphs talking about a very goody thing, they will not read the entire letter. And when they will not read the entire letter, and that is why I achieved the best part, that with reference to your letter extension is given because of that situation. That I wrote, we are helpful, we are very thankful for your cooperation, we know you understand our problem, we know your good self will do the justice. He thought that he is not asking, he is just praising me. At the end I asked it. And whether this will helpful to you or not, yes, because there is a Supreme Court judgment in Mahavir Kishore versus State of Karnataka, where Mr. Mahavir Kishore, when asked for extension of time, he wrote 5-page letter. 4.5-page letter was praising of chief engineer. In between, he wrote also that even you have pardoned me for my mistake of slowing down the work, but I am really obliged this, that. And last but 2 lines, he wrote one simple line, sir, give me extension of time with 25% increase in rate. Thanking you, yours truly. And what chief engineer did you know? He gave extension of time with reference to your letter. Contractor was smart enough, because very small work was remaining. He has not raised a single bill. He raised directly the final bill and put plus 25%. Chief engineer says, when I accepted 25%, he says, when you rejected it. Matter went up to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court says, yes, he wrote to you, to his reference letter, you have given him extension. When you have rejected that you will not give 25%, you have waived your right for rejection, and hence pay him 25%. This is a recorded judgment. And we are not learning from this recorded judgment also that how to make a contract correspondence so tactfully that at the end it comes to our rescue. It must come to our rescue. One thing is sure, we are not here for social work. We are here for earning. We are here for our bread and butter. We must earn our legitimate bread and butter. But if somebody is trying to obstruct our bread and butter, which is our legitimate right, you must exercise your right by writing such a letter with a little knowledge of contract law. You will succeed in having a successful contract administration. Your project will always earn for you, even if it is not earned, but at least it will not lose. If you can make it even, is a good success for any contracting company. So that is what we are required to take care of the things. And at the last, what I will say is that my essence of the talk is COVID is not a part of force majeure. Don't accept this as a force majeure. Take a U-turn, but with a transition curve. Sudden U-turn you will meet with an accident. Start writing slowly the letters and take a U-turn that it is not a force majeure, it is extra. Tell it that COVID-19 is an extra contractual obligation to be performed outside the bid parameter. Now, when this word is coming, bid parameter is that in a contract where it was written that I have to keep a medical team on the site. So it is an extra contractual obligation. Where in the contract I was told that I have to carry out the work with keeping certain distance between two people. Never. So it is an extra contractual obligation. Where in the contract it is written that my productivity will be at a half rate. It was not. So it is an extra contractual obligation. So write that COVID-19 is extra contractual obligation. Cost of COVID must be booked to project and not to contractor. Now why I'm coming here? Here a theory of partnership is required. That this is the project which government is required to carry out. It is not my project. It is for the public. It is for the government to want this project to come into the existence for the development of the country. So if project is taking extra money, why contractor should put that extra money from his pocket? It should go to the book to the project, and it has to be taken by the government, not by contractor. You are not here to develop the project. You are here to help the government to develop the project. There is a difference between two. I come and develop the project or I help to develop the project is a totally different situation. I'm here to help you to develop a project. In the process, whatever my expenses you are going to give me back. In that process, if there is anything required outside the contract, it must be booked to the project and not to the contractor. And if you are on path of force majeure, please shift tactfully to COVID-19 to call it as a reimbursable extra. If you don't take U-turn, if you only talk and if you only cry, only God can save you. No law will help you because law will ask you, where is the evidence? Law will ask you when you demanded. अपने में कहावत है कि बच्चा रोता नहीं है तब तक माँ दूध भी नहीं पिलाती है। क्या बच्चा रोया मतलब वो भूखा हुआ है, वो सोता है तब तक माँ निश्चिंत रहती है। तो आपको भी रोना पड़ेगा, आप लोगों को भी रोना पड़ेगा कि सर कोविड-19 से हम मर रहे हैं, हम भूखे मरे हैं, हमें दूध पिलाओ। Law will ask that evidence and hence start doing the U-turn for this. That is what you are required to take care, and I hope I have made myself very clear as far as COVID-19 versus our contractual situation is concerned. I repeat and re-repeat and plead to all of you, don't call it force majeure. If you call it force majeure, you are ending with a big problem. You are ending with a big problem. Start calling it as extra contractual provision, extra contractual obligation under the order of the government, under the order of the employer, and ask for reimbursement of this extra obligation. When it is extra obligation, law will say that yes, if it is extra obligation, pay him what he has spent. Why? Simple thing, you cannot become unjust and rich at the cost of others. That is the law. Supreme Court has said that if I have spent something extra on your project and you have become rich by my spending extra, you have no right to have that extra money with you. You have to pay back that to contractor. That is the law. And that is why I repeatedly say a little bit of contract law is very essential to understand our contract very carefully. You have to read contract, you have to interpret the contract, you have to correlate with the clauses. Simply don't call it as a force majeure, because it is a force majeure like situation. It is a force majeure like situation, it is not a force majeure. And if you do that, I know COVID-19 can be tackled and handled. You will not get immediately the money, but you are certainly, when all of us will pressurize, even the builder association can go and talk to the government that, sir, don't call it force majeure. We are representing construction fraternity. Call it as extra contractual provision. Have some mechanism. You are giving relief to everyone. You have announced so much of big packages to everyone. For us, what you have done? You have given only 6 months of time. That is not enough. That is not enough relief. We want more relief, a reasonable relief. Give us a reasonable relief so that we can survive, so that we can carry out the work, so that we can sustain our organization. And if you do so, if builder association can take it to government, I think individual will not require all this jugglery. But if we fail as an organization, then individual has to take care with developing the evidence by way of correspondence. That is what I wanted to say. Thank you. Please stay safe. Thanks a lot. Yes.
Mohinder sir. I think we will directly go to the question and answers, because lot of madam, thank you very much. Oh, so I'll directly bring Mohinder sir, shall I?
Yeah, continue.
I'm bringing Mr. Atul Agarwal ji. He has raised a question in chat also, and he has sent a question in the registration form also. Atul Agarwal ji, please unmute yourself and start your video, or you ask the question. Atul Agarwal ji, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please ask your question.
Vandana ji, can you hear me?
Yeah, ji, namaskar ji.
Namaskar, ma'am. Namaskar. Thank you very much for guiding
Bataiye.
us all through this time. And you have really made us wise today, all our 49 members. My query.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Tell me, I can hear you.
Ma'am, as you are well aware that we have written to the client for extension of time under the various orders from the government, maybe from Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. But it is the contractor who has to request for extension of time.
It is.
So under these circumstances, do we really forfeit our rights, or do we really
we have
get
not
excluded?
forfeited. Agarwal ji, you know, we have not forfeited our right. The things which I was telling you, you know, let us, we have achieved it. We have achieved
I
it
know,
with our
but it is, ma'am, it is for the general purpose, because we have another 49 members here. So it is for the awareness of
sir,
all.
Yes, generally is that suo moto government has no right to extend the contract under section 62 of Indian Contract Act. When they have extended it, we have to write back to the government with a very tactful letter that, sir, thank you very much for considering this. This is not sufficient, as we have suffered huge losses due to your certain works we have carried out under your order. These are required to be looked into in an equitable manner, and under the circumstances we require extra time, not 6 months, XYZ month, and please do it with the equitable adjustment. When I use the word equitable adjustment, is nothing but my demand for the claim.
Correct.
Because
That
the
is-
law will interpret this equitable adjustment as a claim.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now, since we, as you are aware, we have written to them for compensating us for the delays and other things on account of COVID, like social distancing, reduced productivity, reduced manpower, non-availability of manpower because of travel restrictions, trains are not working, the local transport is not there. Then there are local administration, DM, various districts all over India are imposing lockdown, complete lockdown from time to time.
Correct.
My engineers, my people who are traveling from one district to another district or from one state to another state, maybe my consultant, maybe my expert, they're supposed to be either home quarantined or institution quarantine for 14 days or 7 days. So can we make a claim on this and start doing it now or later?
You have to start telling them that we are suffering this. Whenever any of your engineer or labor is quarantined, say, sir, he is quarantined. I'm ended up paying him without taking any productivity from him. You
Right.
have to put them under the notice. See, under law, notice clause is mandatory.
Okay.
If you have to ask something from me, notice, without notice, I will not get the dream.
Right.
So I have to tell the government that I put you under notice because law will ask, have you told him?
Yes.
Have you told him?
We notified them. We
Yeah,
intimated.
notified, sir.
Yeah,
What
ma'am.
happened? What they reply? They not reply. Their
They're not.
non-reply. Their non-reply is benefit to us.
Oh, that's like
Because-
you mean to say
because that-
acceptance?
Yeah, because what happened? Those 4 doctrine of waiver estoppel is
Yeah.
applicable to them also, not only
It is
to us.
applicable to both. Yes,
Both.
ma'am.
So if they have not commented on that, now if they come and say, no, this doesn't mean this, is an afterthought theory.
Right, ma'am.
That afterthought theory, law will not accept it. Law will say contemporaneous dikhao. What you have told at that time. Have you
Yes,
told
ma'am.
him that you are not going to pay? Have you told him that it is not like this? So you have misguided him by keeping the mum that you will consider it.
Okay.
Not in words, but by keeping the mum. So
Thank you,
consider
ma'am.
it. Not 100 rupees, pay him 10 rupees, but pay him something.
Thank you,
That
ma'am.
is the
Thank you,
thing.
ma'am. Thank
Yes.
you,
Thank you,
organizers.
Agarwal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam, we have one Mr. Vatsal Shah. He
Yes.
seems to be a developer. Mr. Vatsal Shah, can you unmute yourself? Are you there? His question is, Mr. Vatsal Shah,
Yes.
please ask your question.
Ma'am, is it when a customer has bought a flat
Hello.
and he has asked for
Ma'am,
rent?
can we
Hello?
continue our discussion tomorrow morning, if possible?
Agarwal ji, can you
Thank
unmute?
Agarwal ji,
unmute
mute yourself, please. Agarwal ji, 1 minute. I'll mute him. I'll mute him.
हाँ,
Okay.
please.
Vatsal ji, बोलिए.
हाँ,
सर, अगर किसी कस्टमर ने फ्लैट लिया हुआ है
हम्म,
और उसने हमसे रेंट का डिमांड किया है कि अगर जून तक पोजेशन नहीं हुआ तो हमें उनसे वो हमसे रेंट लेने के लायबल है, लेटर
हाँ।
भी लिखवा लिया है, तो इस सिचुएशन में क्या कर सकते हैं, डेवलपर के साइड से भी और कस्टमर के साइड से भी?
अभी देखो, ड्यूरिंग द कोविड आपने अगर ये लेटर लिख के दिया है तो आपने वो लायबिलिटी आपने एक्सेप्ट कर ली है। ये अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट प्रोविजन है तो आपको फोर्स मेजर के अंडर रिलीफ मिलेगी कि भाई फॉर उतना महीना आपको ऑर्डिम एक्सटेंशन मिलेगा, क्योंकि वो गवर्नमेंट ने भी दिया है और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी दिया है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो लिमिटेशन तक को स्टे पे ला के रख दिया है। बट आई कोविड सिचुएशन के बाद अगर आपने वो लेटर उनको लिख के दिया है तो विथ ए ओपन आई नॉलेज आपने दिया है, तो फिर आपको उसको देना पड़ेगा।
ओके, सो बिफोर कोविड दिया रहेगा तो लायबल नहीं है ना?
तो नहीं है लायबल, तो आपको उनको लेटर लेकिन लिखना पड़ेगा कि भैया देखो वो हमने हमारे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में प्रोविजन था, लेकिन बिकॉज ऑफ दिस सिचुएशन it is beyond the control of the party, we are calling it as a force majeure and government also has accepted it. We are extending the time up to certain limit. Even अपने सभी डेवलपर्स को रेरा में भी एक्सटेंशन मिल रहा है, so it is in RERA also you will get this extension.
Okay, ma'am. And from customer side, if they appeal something, so
Court will not be much favorable if you delay abnormally after this on lockdown, then only you will be liable to pay. But during lockdown, you are not liable to pay.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Vedanand, can you unmute yourself? Mr. Vedanand? Ask your question, sir. He's from Tamil Nadu, madam.
Okay, sir.
No, sir, you are not audible properly.
I
No,
can't
you are
hear.
not audible. We can't hear you. His question is, as per the government norms, price escalation will be allowed based on the period of contract. The COVID extended period is to be adopted for the price escalation.
See, price escalation is one of the claim under the COVID. You understand that. But if you demand, then only you will get it. If it is during the contract period, extended period is included under the contract. If extension is given to you without leaving LD, under the COVID situation, the provision of contract will continue. But what you want is an extraordinary escalation. And if you want that, you have to demand for that under COVID-19 situation. I can't hear you.
Sir, we cannot hear you. You have not kept a mic. Volume कम कर. Okay. We have, I think, okay. I think we have Mr. Ullas N. Bhole. There is provision in contract for force majeure due to political reason. Can this COVID situation fit into that?
No, no. It is a pandemic. Politics is always a local. Politics is always a local. It is not a world politics. And it is a pandemic. It is a disease. It is a virus. And when I was telling you Aedes generis rule, that etc., it has to be from the same generic family. Politicians have not implanted this coronavirus into the society. So hence it cannot be considered under political situation. And hence it is not a force majeure.
Okay. I am bringing Mr. Niro Parmar into the... Hello.
But this
1 minute. I am bringing Mr. Niro Parmar. Niro Parmar, sir.
Yeah.
Lockdown, let me tell you one thing which I missed out, unfortunately. This lockdown and unlockdown and that rules are akin to change in law. And when I say there is a change in law, automatically the compensations follow. I have to prove that it is a change in law. Their order also is a change in law. So it is not a political, it is a government. Politics is little bit different than government. Yes, Neeraj.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wanted to say, in fact, you preempted my question. My question was, like, can we call it as a subsequent legislation?
So it is akin.
you
It is
preempted that and you...
not exactly, but it is akin and similar to change in law. Like our quarry were stopped. That is not a change in legislation, but still it is called as a change in law.
Okay.
Because Delhi High Court has accepted that as akin to change in law. Our quarry situation.
Another aspect of it is not the defense available to the government or to the client, that this is resulting into your economic hardship, which again does not have a protection. That
no, it is not my economic hardship. I have paid to laborers under your order.
Okay.
If on my own, suppose there is a war and on my own I have taken care of my laborer without the order of the government, is my economic hardship. But I have paid them under the order of government. I have to keep a medical team on site under the order of government. I cannot take more than certain percentage of labor under the government order. On my own suo motu, I have not done anything. So if it is an order, they are bound to pay me.
Yeah, I think you answered this question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I request participants to raise their hands. Mr. Anand Gupta, I think sir, unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please make it fast.
Yeah, Vandana ji. See, on 19th of March, suddenly government of Maharashtra and on 24th March, government of India suddenly declared lockdown and forced me to close all the projects which were running in a good condition.
Yes.
And also forced me to pay my all staff, my all labor. Even I was forced to pay rent charges to my all machinery which I had hired for doing the work. Am I eligible to collect, ask compensation? And if answer is yes, from whom? from whom I should collect this?
Two things. You are eligible provided you are not declared it as a force majeure. If you are accepted as a force majeure, nothing is payable to you, because then force majeure will be interpreted as per the contract. If you have said that I have done all these things under the order of government, then the employer is bound to pay you under change order condition. But that you have a good case provided you have not called it as a force majeure.
And in case this owner is private man, then what happens?
And the litigation, because nobody will either negotiate with him on a win-win situation. That see, your project also is held up, my money is also held up, because private also has a benefit is that his finance also is blocked up in the project. If you leave the project halfway, he is also in a trouble.
No, madam,
So-
the point here is,
No.
see, the order has been given by state government and the central government, but the
Yeah.
projects are either under CPWD, MES, state PWD, different corporations. So who will pay to whom, and means
Party
where
to the contract.
Sir.
Party to the contract will pay. Because when it is a central government order, when it is a order by the Supreme Court that no limitation is permitted, when it is an order to take care of the welfare of the migrant labor, it is under the law you are asking. It is under law, not under the contract. And when it is under the law, any person living in India has to abide by the law of India.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome. Welcome.
Mr. Jaiprakash Bhatia, Honorary Secretary, Mumbai Center. Please, Jaiprakash Bhatia ji. भाटिया जी आप गए क्या? भाटिया जी unmute yourself. Hello.
Can't see him.
I think he has law. He is not there. Anyway, Mohinder sir, Chairman sir, you please take over.
Madam, one
No,
more
no.
question.
Yes, sir.
Looking at such a senior person has come to our this lecture series. See, always we in Builders of India, we always discuss one issue. See, there is no, our all contracts are suffering that they don't get the pay.
क्या?
But at the same time, there is just, we always have some dispute, but there is no arbitration clause in the contract. Can we file a PL to get the interest on an arbitration clause in every contract? A matter of right, and which solve the problem of both the parties in our contract. Can we file a PIL and get inserted these two clauses in
Sir,
all the state government? Particularly, this is the problem in state government of Maharashtra.
See, I tell you this answer, even Madhu can give it better way. Madhu knows that we were telling Builder Association to represent to the government, we have represent to the court. Somehow organization has failed, I'm sorry to say, but organization has failed by not going and emphasizing with the government that unless you include this arbitration clause, we are not going to participate in the contract. We have no unity, unfortunately. If you stop doing the work, then Mohinder will fill the tender. If Mohinder will not fill up the tender, I will fill up. We have no unity. Have a unity, represent to the government and tell the government, unless and until you give us arbitration clause, we are not going to bid for your work. Association has to go, PIL will not help you because arbitration act is not a compulsory. So court will say, I can't help you. Contract is by consent, by free will. If they don't want to add arbitration clause, don't bid it. That is what the answer you will get from the court. So it is the pressure you have to put on the department.
Gupta sir, you have muted yourself.
What about interest on delayed? Madam, what happens to interest on delayed payment?
Interest on delayed payment is not provided unless and otherwise there is a provision in the contract. If there is no provision, Supreme Court has banned interest. So it's a law. You will not get it. You will get consequential damage because of that. What happened? Contractor always stick, give me interest. And they lose under the law that interest portion. They should say that because you have delayed the payment, I have a consequential damage of arranging the finance from outside. So give me the financial charges. Don't ask interest. What is the financial charges? Akin or equivalent to interest. Don't ask interest. Ask financial charges, and that financial charges by way of interest. Then you will get it. Otherwise, interest on delayed payment is not permitted.
Thank you, madam. We have Mr. Pradeep Nagwekar, our Honorary General Secretary, All India Secretary.
Okay.
Good evening to everybody and madam.
Yes.
1 minute. My question to you is, madam,
Yes, sir.
recently PWD department or government of Maharashtra has issued some circulars stating if the work order is given and work is not started, you stop the work. If work is done 25%, you finalize to that amount work and cancel the work order for further works. Or otherwise, if contractor wants to complete the work, they will be paid in 2022. Madam, how is it fitting to the agreement or to the law of contracts?
See, it is a breach of contract and it is called as a cardinal breach of contract by the employer. You call it as a breach of contract, you have to declare. If you don't declare, you are accepting their termination. But the moment they write to you this letter, call it that, sir, it is a unilateral decision. You cannot curtail the contract on your own. If you do so, it is a cardinal breach of contract and I am going to ask for the consequential damage. Then ask for loss of profit, all the damages and everything. That is the remedy.
Yeah. Okay. My second question to you is, for it is a redevelopment, SRA project. Generally what happens, builder pays the rent till the completion of work to the
Tenants. All the tenants.
In this situation, can developer take the advantage not to pay to them for this period?
For which period? When they curtail the work?
COVID.
No.
In this period?
COVID-19 you cannot, because your contract is ongoing. When your extension time comes, at that time you demand for that extra extension period the rent from the government. But as on today, your contract is ongoing.
No, redevelopment work.
Yes, redevelopment. Because
how can I demand to government?
You can demand at the time of extension.
But extension,
not now.
No, government will not give. No, but I am a developer.
You
I
are
am
a
developing
developer.
that.
But in that development agreement, you have a time that within certain time you will construct so many buildings and
Yes.
shift the tenant. That is a clause in the contract
Yes.
between you and government. Now, when you cannot construct the building within that time due to COVID, you are going to go to the government, ask that, sir, give me time so that I can construct. When you go for that extension, at that time, ask the rent.
How government is coming in this picture?
Why? Your development plan is with government?
No, private development, SRA.
Yeah. Oh, if you are
But
doing
plan,
with... No.
It is-
SRA also, government is the third party, confirming party.
But government.
If government is not involved at all, you can't do anything.
Okay.
But I am handling one contract like this where similar situation is there. Where I have told contractor that till the contract is there, you pay. When you come for extension, we will look into it. Because I am representing government.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mohinder sir, please take over.
Yeah. I'm thankful to Dr. Vandana Bhatt, madam, for giving us a detailed report on the today's topic, COVID contract vis-a-vis COVID-19, how to deal with problems. how to safeguard the contract by preparing us to maintain the record of expenditure, correspondence with our clients, copy of all expenses to be maintained during this pandemic time. I hope all the parties have received the answers to their questions. I once again thank Dr. Vandana Bhatt Madam for giving us time from her busy schedule. And I now request Mr. Madhu to introduce Dr. Avasti.
Dr. Avasti is as of now chairman of Builders of India's Arbitration and Legal and Arbitration Committee. He graduated from IIT Kharagpur in 1967 and devoted 5 decades in construction industry, both as contractor and consultant, both in India and abroad. He is active in arbitration field since 2000 and is empaneled as arbitrator with many institutions, namely Indian Council of Arbitration, SAROD, ICADR, and High Courts of Mumbai, Kerala, and Jammu and Kashmir. He is fellow of Institute of Engineers India and chartered engineer. Presently, he is on governing body of Indian Council of Arbitration and chairman, as I mentioned earlier, Legal and Arbitration Committee of BI. So, Mr. Avasti will be speaking for a few minutes. You are putting. Okay. Avasti sir, the floor is yours. Unmute yourself, I think. Mohinder sir, you unmuted him? Sir, unmute yourself. Avasti sir. Okay.
Unmute yourself, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay, sir.
Good evening to everybody.
So, a little bit louder.
I'll try to be louder. Thank you for giving this opportunity to Mr. Mohinder Ijwani. I will say that an excellent and wonderful presentation made by Dr. Vandana Bhatt. As a matter of fact, I also had seen feeling that force majeure clause should not apply in these conditions which we have now. But of course, I did not have that analysis which Dr. Vandana, in a very elaborate manner, giving all the pros and cons, various aspects of the law, said that in this case, force majeure does not apply. Now, as a consequence of this, most of us must be feeling that maybe it is too late to take a U-turn. As far as I know, our builders, BIA members, in spite of the fact there have been notifications and the office memorandum dated 13th of May and 25th of June, I am aware that most of us, because of our usual habits, have not accepted in writing force majeure. So that is a point from where we can escape, because if we have not admitted that we accept force majeure conditions, then it will not apply even as of now. Now, as far as writing letters is concerned, she has elaborately that we should be giving events from time to time, various lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4 and unlock 1, 2, 3, 4, and giving the events that will build our case. At the end of the day, we shall be able to claim money against the damages and the losses we have been incurring, also which we are likely to incur in future. The second point which I would like to add, that writing letters is very, very important, which most of us, not all, are lazy in writing letters. In a situation like this, we need to write letters in a manner that it does not hurt the client. It does not, you don't have to be offensive, but all you need should come in a very polite language, which most of us should be doing. And if at all people are not doing, they should start doing it right now, because taking U-turn, as she said very correctly, it is not easy. I will make things a little more clear. What she said, change order. You take it as you normally do it in your day-to-day life. there's some item called extra item. So change order should be extra item in case you say that because of COVID-19, these are the additional expenditure we have to incur, and for which we should be compensated. That will make better sense to the client, and you'll be slowly building your case in a manner that end of the day, at the close of the contract, you'll come out with those particular claims, and in all possibilities, in all certainties, I must say, you should be able to get some money, part of the money, if not all, compensated, because no case, I don't want to repeat, during this COVID-19, lot of expenditures are being incurred without any return. Now, there is a couple of things more that which I would like to share. Government orders which are coming from the Ministry of Finance normally should apply to entire country. But I have noticed that even these orders are not accepted by the state governments and their enterprises. So in that case, what we need to do, that all people who are working with the state governments as well as the PSU, they must start writing. The Honorable President of BI has already written letters. Give me a minute, please, and I'll close. So let us do it so that, because whatever the BI does, everybody needs to write letters to their clients so that everything goes on record. With this and with the shortage of time, I once again thank Mr. Rijwani for giving this opportunity, and I shall be available with all the knowledge I have received. I've learned quite a lot from Dr. Vandana. I'll be available to our members. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Avesthi. I now request Mr. Pradeep Nagwekar to unmute himself.
Yes. Yes.
बोला साहेब.
Vandana ji, I forgot to, in continuation to my query, can government, are you hearing me, no, madam? I am audible?
Yeah, she has.
She has
unmuted. Madam.
Madam, please unmute. Madam, you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Madam.
Yeah, now I can. I think I am audible now.
In continuation to my query, can government float a tender with a condition that.
Pradeep ji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can hear you, sir, madam.
Am I audible? No. Hello, madam. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
No, madam is not. Nagwekar sir, madam is not. Nagwekar sir, madam is not audible.
No, she has to unmute herself.
Madam, unmute yourself. Thamba jara.
Yes, sir. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am audible, no?
Okay.
Madam,
yes.
In continuation to my query, can government float a tender with a condition that you have to complete the work, time period of completion period of the work is 2 years, but you will be paid after 4 years. With such condition, can the tender be floated as per the terms and conditions of the contracts? Yes, madam.
She is not able to hear. Madhu?
See, no. What I understood, let me repeat it, that can government float the tender with a condition that I complete the work and then I will be paid after 4 years or 2 years or 3 years. For calling for tender with any condition which is not illegal is possible. Now it is up to you to accept or not accept. If you accept, both of you are mature. See, the fundamental of contract law is that both the party must be mature. Both the party must accept the term and condition which is legal. Now, deferring payment clause is nothing illegal. You accept it with wide open eyes. If you don't like this clause, don't quote for the tender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can put such condition. Legally, it is allowed for them to put such condition.
Yeah, they can put such condition.
Acha.
Yes, legally it is allowed. Illegally it is allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman sir, President sir is not there. I think we can.
I request Harshad Shah to give the vote of thanks.
Harshad Shah sir, please unmute yourself.
Hello, audible?
Yes,
yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We have come to the end of the 9th lecture in the BI Mumbai Center's monthly lecture meeting. I am sure all the participants had a very informative time. We are thankful to Dr. Vandana Bhatt for delivering the keynote address. BI has had a long relationship with her firm. Rather, her firm is member of BI Mumbai Center. We have to thank Sri M.U. Mohan, President, BI, for being with us and guiding us. Dr. D.C. Avasthi, Chairman of BI's Arbitration and Legal Committee, also graced and in his talk gave us very important tips. We thank him for the same. We thank all the participants for registering, attending, and raising very important questions. We are sure they will continue to attend our future lecture meetings and encourage us. I request them to send in their suggestions as regards topics and speakers. I thank the back office staff of BI for their efforts in organizing this event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for everything.
There are some questions afterwards, but I think that time is also running out.
Yeah.
And
Madhu, send me your email on my WhatsApp so I will share my PPT.
Sure. I'll
Then you can share with the members. Then
I'll do that. I'll send my email ID to you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I conclude the meeting. Madhu, stop the recording now.
1 minute.